Hey folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. Heathers re-release so many years ago. Wow, time just flies. Heathers is a classic movie. It's kind of one of these movies that people watch and they think it makes them cool that they saw this movie, or I don't even know if cool is the word, but they're in on some inside joke if they quote all the goddamn lines, and kind of like a goth girl's fantasy movie, but let's blow up the school. Christian Slater, I didn't realize, I guess she was 15 or 16 when filming this. Winona Ryder. My personal favorite as a youngster was Shannon Doherty, of these women, these Heathers. So if you never saw the movie, yeah, go see it or rent it or whatever the fuck. I mean, I paid the $15 to watch it on the big screen. With these goddamn Fandango event movies, you have to be there right on time. You know what I mean? They don't give you a fucking one preview before these things. Before I forget, there was like a 15-minute after movie thing. Most of the people in the theater left as soon as the credits started rolling. I was intelligent enough to stay around because there was an interview with Heather number 3. So there's 3 characters named Heather, and they're kind of, they're the original OG Mean Girls. I mean, the movie Mean Girls was sort of a tribute to Heathers. Clueless, it's not really, not Clueless, but Mean Girls was definitely in the footsteps of Heathers. And then there was another one called Jawbreaker that I'd kind of put in there too. But this one, Heathers, it's just fun to watch this shit for the nostalgia. But there's actually more themes in this thing that are probably more relevant now than they were then. And gee whiz, Mike, what are the themes? Well, you've got school bullying. I mean, the Heathers are these 3 bitches who kind of bully everybody. But then you also have the jocks. You have the science kids, the nerds. You have the one overweight girl. I mean, this is how our society has changed. When they show, they're very cruel in naming her Martha. What's her last name? The big girl, the overweight girl, Martha. But I'm looking at her, I'm like, you know what? I can see, if I go to Walmart right now, there's going to be 30 or 40 people who look like Martha. Like the one obese character in this movie pretty much looks like half the assholes in Walmart or wherever the fuck, or any fucking place you go, because of the obesity. And you know why? Salt, sugar, and fat. All the bad things. I listened to the audiobook Salt, Sugar, Fat. What a conspiracy that the food industry has pulled on us. But in any event, Winona Ryder, my God, what an icon she was back then. She took like 15 or 20 years off from being a star because she had all these issues. I'm glad that, people, do you watch Stranger Things? No, but I'm familiar with it, so I'm glad that she's got a career on track. Now we just need a goddamn show for Christian Slater. And while we're at it, let's have a show for me, Mike Messier. I'm more entertaining than these assholes anyway. But look, what can I tell you? Winona Ryder was so fucking attractive in the 90s. Here she is at the end of the 80s. Really, this is what put her on the map. Christian Slater, this put him on the map. A lot of people thought he was doing a Jack Nicholson impersonation in his character of JD, Jason Dean, which is also kind of a shout out to James Dean, I think. And there's so many themes like bullying and then school shooting. I mean, the Jason Dean character is basically 12 years before Columbine, for crying out loud. And then what else? The bullying, the female stuff, as far as, girls just being so cruel to each other. What the fuck else is in there? Oh, homosexual accusations. I mean, some asshole behind me. I wasn't an asshole, just a person in the theater behind me when the guy's at the funeral for his son, he's like, I love my dead gay son. Person behind me was saying the line like in unison. So I definitely saw some youngsters in the theater, maybe second generation, because like the girls that looked like they were dressed at Hot Topic, they probably go with their moms. They probably had moms that were 15 when they were hatched, and they go to Hot Topic or Spencer Gifts with each other. Yes, those stores still exist, and they goop each other up with their chains and so forth. And So they seem to really be getting into this movie. They weren't into it enough to stick around for the bonus footage like I was apparently, but there's definitely, as I said, a cult following. Yeah, like I said, this is one of those fucking movies like Pulp Fiction or Heathers where people feel like they're in on some inside track if they watch this fucking thing and they memorize the lines. That's why if you can, and I'm still trying to do this, but if you can be a successful screenwriter or successful content creator or filmmaker and you have asshole fans who just quote everything you do, or like the Star Trek fans, they just debate every fucking thing, or well, who is better, Picard or Spock, or whatever the fuck. Picard or the Kirk, I guess. That's why it's good to like get famous and rich and have fans, because they just fucking suck up everything you do. Meanwhile, some asshole's blowing a trombone on the corner, can't get a fucking dollar in his goddamn trombone case, but you fucks are buying every goddamn fucking DVD version, every Criterion version of every fucking thing, because marks are gonna mark, you know what I mean? But anyway, getting back to Heathers, what can I say? I mean, it's a classic. I do have a criticism of Heathers, though, okay? And I've seen this movie before, obviously. I do feel like the last 45 minutes kind of drags. Kind of like, it's like all the fun stuff is in like the first hour and 15. And then the last, I wouldn't even say the last 50%. I'd say like the last 30 to 40% of this movie, it's just, I guess maybe it's not supposed to be fun, but it just gets to be not as good. You know what I mean? And maybe that's what they're aiming for. And also the other thing is, this is kind of like an abusive relationship, like a woman and the Winona Ryder character, Veronica Sawyer. She does state that, by the way. It is kind of plainly written that her character is an abused female from a psycho boyfriend. And when she blows his middle finger off, she says something to that effect. I never really thought of that movie this way before, as far as like some type of, movie about an abused woman, but it's kind of an abused relationship, abusive. So never thought of it that way, but here it is, mental abuse. Now, the Veronica Sawyer character, though, you can say that she's kind of a sinner who goes unpunished. I mean, she does have a lot to do with 3 people dying, and I guess you could even say JD is a 4th. But, she doesn't really get her comeuppance. She kind of gets off the hook because she's had the change of heart. JD, meanwhile, explodes into a million pieces. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this movie, and I think it's handled well. Like I said, I just think the last 45 minutes or so of this movie is not as good as the beginning. Maybe that's because I think the word that I read in one of these screenwriting books is denouement, or whatever the fuck. The conclusion, it just is not as fun. It drags on. I do like the father and daughter rapport. Why do I do that? Because you're an idiot. You too. And then I never really noticed this before in previous screenings, that the Christian Slater character of Jason Dean's father is how he knows about explosives. Like, that kind of went past me. I just guess I never really paid attention to the Jason Dean father character before. There's a little controversy. Was the father the reason why Jason Dean's mother died? Getting blown up in a library. So, I mean, the guy's got issues. Maybe that's why he likes books. I just thought of that, because his mother died in a library. So he's highlighting Eskimo and so forth. Also, I got another little obscure one for those of you that are actually watching this. The priest guy, the guy that oversees the funerals, the priest or the priest or whatever the fuck, is that also the guy that does the Haunted Mansion voice at Disney World? I think it is. He has that very good voice, and watching Heathers, I'm like, fuck, where did I know that voice from? It's the Haunted Mansion guy. Not the movie, but the actual ride. I believe it's this asshole in Heathers who plays the priest. So a little stat fact for all you trivia junkies One Mike Messier YouTube channel for your film reviews. One Man and a Camera Films for my films. One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan. Bye.